Okay, hi. Sorry, last time, let's get going. Ooh, and rats, we've gone too far. All right, here we go. So, today we're talking about couples and relationships after traumatic brain injury. And my hope is that you walk away from this session having just one or two, at least more tips for maybe things you could be doing slightly differently to make things run more smoothly in your partnership. It's really a joy for me to work with couples and families after brain injury. There's so much support and interaction that can really impact the brain injury survivors' confidence that I think having healthy relationships can really benefit them in that way. So this is an image of me after about 3 months of recovery in 2006. And I determined that I wanted to start working in some capacity with other brain injured folks. So in 2008, I started teaching meditation at BrainWorks, if any of you remember that, and then began working as a licensed mental health counselor in 2015. So I always find it important to bring up the word trauma and traumatic brain injury. Our brains are so important and such emotional fields that it makes sense that when we have an experience that leaves us feeling different or out of control, and having trauma does that, we start to view the world as a place that is no longer safe, or for many people with brain injuries, that our brain isn't really safe. So how this can impact relationships post-brain injury is setting brain injury survivors sometimes on this path of being ready for the next bad thing, or some big change that could really impact their life. This might be a fear of losing their job or their spouse losing their job. This could be a fear about getting really sick or having another injury. And it could also be something kind of vague, like feeling that you won't be liked. There's a fear of the new you destroying your relationships, whether that's with friends or family, and that being kind of an overall concern that you're obsessing about, or perhaps that you are pushing people away or avoiding certain activities that might bring up some of that fear.
I don't think we can see your screen.
Oh no!
I don't want to interrupt you.
So I think you have to share it because you're the leader. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Do I have your slides?
I love that I've just been chatting. I'm 3 slides in.
Do I have your slides?
I can send it to you, but
send me your slides really quickly. I can do that on my end. One moment, everybody. I'm just gonna grab this.
Sorry, so you want me to share this with you?
Yeah, and then I can share my screen. Does it say you can share your screen on your...
it says Reggie has this with Justin Taft's team.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's because she's usually the person. If you can see here.
I think you can press something to make me the leader. That's what
Is that what she did?
Reggie has done in the past. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see that really quickly here.
Are we going to get to see all your slides since we're 3 slides in?
Yeah, the first 2 are extremely boring, but I'll flip through them and then, yeah.
Nothing is boring, so flip through them.
Well,
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Right now, I think you can do it now.
Okay, cool. All right, and away we move on. Go. All right. How are we doing now? Can you guys see them?
I don't see anything yet. Can you guys see them?
No.
Hmm.
Oh, yikes.
If you want to email them to me, I can share them on my screen.
Okay. Well,
If,
let me see if I can do this. Yeah, I'll just do that. And
sorry.
no. Do I have your email, Justin? Do you mind
That's okay if you
dropping?
don't. It's just my first name, my last initial T @brainnw.org.
You would have thought Zoom would have made it a little bit easier to.
I know technology can be.
Isn't it wonderful? When it works,
Justin
it's
T
great.
at Brain Northwest.
Yeah, Justin T @Brain Northwest or brainnw.org.
Did you get it?
Let me refresh here. Not quite yet, but it may just take a minute since it's bigger file. One moment. Okay, here we go. 1 second here. One second, guys. I'm just going to pull this up in 2 seconds here. Bear with me. Here we go. Okay. Just thinking. Sorry. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And you just tell me when you want me to go to the next slide.
Great. Okay, here we are. So this is actually nice because I can see people. So here we are, couples and relationships post-traumatic brain injury. As I said before, it's a joy for me to work with couples and families because I think both in recovery from brain injury, but also sort of long-term success for brain injured folks, having the family involvement or the partners involved can make all the difference. Next slide. This is an image from me in 2006, about 3 months after my car accident. And just the experience I had and some of the things with my family, but also my treatment and the way my brain was working post-injury, it was really important to me to work in the brain injury community. And so it was great to start by teaching meditation and then later to work as a mental health counselor.
Mental health counselor.
So again, just kind of looking at the T of TBI and how trauma really creates a sense that we aren't safe in the world. And so I think for a lot of people with traumatic brain injury, they have that experience. They also have symptoms of brain injury, like sometimes feeling very anxious or obsessive about certain
I
things
didn't
like their
feel it
safety.
was not a safe place.
Well, that wouldn't make me feel safe.
No,
You're always.
Also
um,
having some,
no, I'm just old and decrepit. My love.
Can I have, I think, Ron, mute yourself?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
all right. So for other people, this might look like avoidance, very common after trauma to avoid places or people, maybe even topics. I know for a lot of folks that I work with who live with traumatic brain injury, conflict is actually very difficult for them, and they, it can feel very uncomfortable to even watch a movie where there's conflict. And so avoidance can be a way that they sort of don't interact with their partners on things that could be difficult or create any kind of conflict. And that can be very difficult in a relationship for the non-brain injured person. Next slide. All right, Justin, if you want to unmute it, it's not really that interesting. This was just to break up. I can just say what it
To
says.
explain, and then we get to believe them.
Sorry about that. I think myself was muted, so therefore, okay, I'll let you take over.
Okay. So that version of me was just saying that suspicion is a symptom of brain injury that a lot of people don't know about. And so this can create a feeling of really questioning our partner. It can also come up in lots of different environments in our lives. One thing that I think can be very powerful is saying the things out loud that you're worried about and saying it once. And then when your partner tells you the answer, you believe them. And that's something that we can really choose to do as the brain injury survivor. And we'll talk a little bit more as this presentation carries on about what the non-brain injured person can do to kind of assist with the one-time answer of, no, I am not doing whatever it is you might be suspicious about. All right. So trusting, kind of like we were just talking about, can translate to how we feel about ourselves and what we're doing. Not trusting ourselves as brain injury survivors can be a really big issue and cause challenges. It might lead to us acting kind of controlling, or maybe to the non-brain injury person looking like we're being selfish or clinging. And a lot of that might just come from questioning our own behaviors. There's oftentimes a theme or a tape running through a survivor's head. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to do anything that might be wrong or do anything that might injure me, right? So that whole script can be quite powerful. And so I think it can be useful for partners and spouses just to be aware that, these are sort of things that are just stuck on repeat for some people post-injury. You can go to the next. All right, so getting to some of our tools, staying organized is, I think, beyond helpful for both the brain injured person and their partner. And this being organized as a team can really lessen some of the burden that might land on the non-brain injured person. And so when I'm saying organized, I mean both literally, so when in doubt, get it out. Getting rid of stuff, having a lot of clutter around can make it very difficult for brain injured people to be able to think clearly, to be able to function, and sometimes, especially depending on kind of their energy level, it can make it hard for them to stay on task. So making really clear requests, I think, is also an important skill to have in a partnership post-injury. And that would be on both the survivor side and the partner of the survivor, the non-brain injured person. So when you have a request, it isn't a long story. It isn't a long, kind of snowball effect of a question. It's concise and it's clear. I'd like you to please pick up the groceries from the order place. And then if that's a task that you've handed off, either as the brain injured person to your partner or as the partner to your brain injured person, I think oftentimes closing the loop can really reduce a lot of stress, anxiety, and sometimes conflict that comes from these types of things. So that would mean making that clear request, please pick the groceries up, and then the partner who picks up the groceries would make sure to check in and say, yes, I did pick the groceries up, or I asked if I could extend the pickup time and pick them up an hour later, whatever it might be. So there's some communication in that, but it's still quite clear and simple. And I think when doing this, it can create more space where we're feeling like we're both holding up equal sides, or at least not feeling like one person is nagging or bossing or repeating things. And I think that can be really important with the person we've chosen to spend a chunk of our life with. Next is knowing what's coming. So having good communication on either a paper calendar or a Google calendar that makes it very, very clear what's coming next, what's going on the weekend, the weekdays, and putting that in a place. Again, if you use a cell phone a lot, maybe you have that electronic version. If you walk by a certain place in your kitchen and there can be a calendar that you both can walk by and see if things change. And even for some couples, adding a meeting where you're checking in about what's coming up on those calendars can be very useful. And then the last one here is less talk and input, which sounds a bit harsh, but I think it's important to remember that for some people with brain injuries, there can be, like I said, that sort of snowball where you start talking about one thing and then it rolls into another and another and another. And the listener, your partner, may get lost in what you want them to take away from that. And I think the flip side can be true. Sometimes the partner of the brain injury survivor might have an ask, but it gets kind of long or confusing, and the brain injured person may not know really what they're being asked to do. So simplifying those two things by talking less and just having less input can be quite powerful. Next slide. All right, so HALT. Some of you may know this. This is hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And for people who have acquired brain injuries, which is most of us, you're getting to know yourself in a new way, just as your partner is. And sometimes these really basic needs, like, am I hungry? Am I sleepy? That's not on here, but am I feeling frustrated? Oh, sleepy is tired. All right, I'm a little sleepy. So, but all of those things can be really important questions to ask yourself before getting into a difficult discussion with your partner. maybe even before getting into an easy discussion with your partner, because things can sometimes escalate or go in the wrong direction when these are the physiological symptoms that you're having and you're not recognizing it. And so I write on the other side, check yourself before you wreck yourself. So if you can print out a version of this and kind of get to know this acronym and use it to slow yourself down before coming to your partner and perhaps unintentionally, putting that anger or putting that tiredness onto them, which can be, really a waste, I think, because then you end up feeling bad later when you realize I was hungry or I was tired and your partner had to go through that difficult thing. And I should say, of course, this could work for either person, but I know many people with brain injuries can struggle with getting these cues in a clear way. Boundaries. So earlier I said I would touch on about how a partner, so not the brain injury survivor, but the partner might say something when asked, like, are you talking to another person, in a flirtatious way on text? And the partner might say no. And then the brain injury survivor has that opportunity to believe their partner. And so boundaries would come in this way, where it's like, you asked the question, I told you once, and that's it. So that's a boundary. It's where I end and you begin. So I get to make that choice that I'm not going to respond to that question anymore if you continue to ask me. This is also a way that we can really respect our partner by honoring their boundaries. And no is a boundary. It's a complete sentence. It's useful because it kind of falls into that category of less is more. Less talking can be helpful sometimes, especially when we're in a place as a brain injury survivor, maybe feeling kind of churned up or feeling really in fear. And so resisting the snowball and instead just allowing that no to be, something that you honor in that moment. So putting our requests into really clear statements that are about our emotions. So not taking on our partner's emotions to say, hey, you look really mad. What did I do wrong? Or you seem like there's something you're not telling me. You always make a mean face, whatever. Instead, we're getting calm and we're using the phrase, I feel blank when you blank, I prefer blank. So a really clear request. I feel hurt when you don't answer my text. I prefer you text me to let me know you're going to be in a meeting for the next 5 hours and you won't be texting me. And then that's it, right? So again, before you're kind of deciding, am I going to make a boundary? Am I going to just say a simple no? Or is it more appropriate to feel my emotions and then tell my partner what's bothering me? It's really useful, just like HALT, to take a break, to put your 2 feet on the ground, to take a full deep breath, and to allow yourself to kind of think from that more calm, present state. And the next slide, Justin, is a little opportunity for us to practice breathing. So undo your sound again if you haven't already.
Make your way into a comfortable seat, placing your feet on the floor and your hands face down on your legs. Notice any sensations in your feet as they rest on the floor. Notice your thighs and the weight of your thighs, your bottom and the weight of your bottom on your seat. And begin to bring your awareness to your breath. Breathing in through your nose, 2, 3. Open your mouth and exhale, 2, 3. Breathe in through your nose, 2, 3. Exhale through your mouth, 2, 3. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And close your mouth, but continue those long breaths in and long breaths out.
All right, so that's
Notice any tension or holding in the space around your eyebrows. Notice gripping in the jaw. Just notice. Bringing your awareness to your chest. Noticing if your shoulders are back, allowing your chest to be open, or if you're slumped down. Just notice. And then bringing your awareness to the movement of your stomach. As you breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. In through your nose and out through your nose. This is you alive in this moment.
okay.
Yourself, do I need a rest? Do I need a cold glass of water? Do I need to put my feet in warm water? How can I care for myself in this moment?
Okay. So that was pretty self-explanatory. And the message is just whether you are laying down in your bed and just allowing yourself to sort of check in with your body, if you're doing a guided exercise like this, whatever it might be, but just to sort of check in with where you're at, particularly before having a difficult conversation with your partner. This can be really useful for brain injury survivors to kind of make sure they're in the proper headspace to be having those more difficult discussions. Next slide. So again, going back to the power of nothing, similar to saying no, we're really trying to note as a brain injury survivor that the things happening around us aren't always about us. So if your partner seems upset, they're allowed to be upset. And again, you can ask them, are you upset about something I did? If they say no, then we believe them. It isn't our job to be mind reading. And I think that goes both directions. So sometimes post-injury, it's difficult to filter yourself as the survivor. It can be tempting to just say whatever thought pops into your head. And so it's important to sort of notice that sometimes our interactions, due to fatigue or due to something difficult that happened to us earlier in the day might be taken out onto our partner. Some people call this kicking the dog or a convenient enemy. And so we really get to, as we recover in our injury, we can get better at taking care of ourselves and, knowing if we're feeling agitated, maybe check on a scale of 0 to 5, how important is it that I tell my partner this right now? It can also be useful to text or email your partner something and just give them time to process it before having that conversation with you.
Next slide.
This is just another way of kind of non-verbally having some kind of scale to look at so that you can identify where your mood is at. We're really thinking about our mood and then our tone when we're communicating with our partner. These are when we're communicating with the non-brain injury survivor. And again, this idea of intent versus impact. So if I'm emotionally dysregulated about something else or throughout the day, just fatigued, whatever it might be, the way I might present information could sound very rough, very angry, and that can be really hurtful to our partners. The person who's on the receiving end of that, they don't have the story of every single thing that happened to us and the reason that we're having that sort of tone or mood. Next slide.
Oh, it's not going further.
Okay, that's fine. I think maybe there was one more, but this is good.
Okay.
So that's all, I guess.
So I'm going to stop the recording. Oh, it has to come from you since you're the host now. Can you stop it?
Yes, I'm not really familiar with this. Just end.
Um,
End meeting for all or no?
no,
Oh,
some,
at the top.
yeah, that one should say.